The Biden administration makes a stunning admission on its green energy priorities, leaving critics claiming climate change is being put above energy security. A leaked internal memo shows the Department of Interior is moving ahead with higher royalty fees, despite admitting that charging fossil fuel companies less money would provide greater energy security. Energy research fellow at the Heartland Institute, Linnea Lueken, joins us to react. Linnea, thank you for joining us this morning. This is very interesting. So it's very clear from this memo, the Biden administration is willing to trade in energy security, which you know is national security, for their little pet project of climate change, which we're not even sure makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah. Well, and this is nothing new for the Biden administration, right? This entire time, I mean, from day one, Biden has been going after the oil companies. The craziest part about this is that there is a lot more downstream impact from attacking the oil industry than just gasoline for your car.
Yes, of course. It affects food prices. It affects everything that's going on. And by the way, these are also great American jobs.
Oh, yeah. And they're fantastic American jobs. Regarding the food prices issue, last year alone, because of how high gas prices were, farmers were paying between 200 and 300% more for fertilizer. That's on top of all of the money that they have to spend to, fuel those huge combines and tractors that they have to use. So food prices are going to be affected across the board by these kinds of policies.
Yep, even more than they already are. Here's Senator Manchin reacting to this leaked memo. Little backpedaling here, but here's what he has to say. Oh, it's a quote. I'm sorry about that. I thought we had video. Crystal clear that this administration is literally putting their radical climate agenda ahead of the needs of the people of Alaska and the United States. So here, your reaction to Senator Manchin's statement.
Well, he's absolutely right. The Biden administration's goal is to get people to stop using fossil fuels. Leaving it in the ground is not going to help anyone. This climate agenda, whether you think that there is a, pending climate crisis or not, you have to balance that with the impacts that this is going to have on not just national security, as we've seen with the issue in Ukraine.
Right.
Having our ability to make our own fuel is going to protect us from foreign actors.
Of course.
It's the same thing in Europe. It's the same thing across the Western world. We can't keep depending on imports forever.
Yeah,
so
and imports from very bad actors, by the way. I'm going to move to another topic because you brought up Europe. In England, they're prioritizing climate change over food security. So they have this British net zero policy, which is hindering farms. It's discouraging food production. I guess my question, and by the way, they're doing that by, saying you can't use synthetic fertilizers or limiting land use. Your reaction to that, and do you think it will come to the United States?
Well, in part, it's already here. For example, in the upcoming, there's a renewal of the Farm Bill coming up here. Sorry, I'm a little bit wishy-washy today. The Democrats, there's a coalition of about 80 Democrats who are trying to put a bunch of climate stuff into the Farm Bill, which will add a bunch of funding towards paying farmers to reduce their emissions and also set aside land instead of planting on it for wilderness and ecological preservation, that kind of thing. The same thing is happening in the UK. It's absolute insanity.
Yeah, and by the way, these kinds of policies aren't just affecting the first worlds that we're talking about. This ends up trickling down to the poorest of the poor in the third world, who end up getting less food aid when we produce less food. So, Linnea, thanks for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course.